Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to my little channel here on the interwebs. Now, I have a request from someone that watches me that wants to hear a phrase. So, yo, I heard you like tint on tint. You know who you are. Hopefully, you enjoyed that little soundbite. Anyways, we got more Texas news. It's almost like I live here in Texas. Oh, wait, I do live here in Texas. But it wasn't too long ago where Texas passed a law and it went into effect. I think this month about allowing people to carry, to be packing. Because what they say, a society that carries is a polite society. But anyways, an armed robber was shot in the face in Texas when his victim pulled out his own gun and shot him. Just days after the Texas law went into effect, allowing residents to carry handguns without permits. He was shot in the face one time. He's at the hospital. He's going to live. He is conscious and he is breathing now. The Houston Police Department Lieutenant R. Walkins said the incident unfolded Wednesday evening in Houston when the victim was walking to a local Shell gas station to make a few purchases. The SPG San Antonio reported the suspect was in the case was dropped off around the same time, approached the victim by lifting up his shirt to expose a gun and demanding him to fork over any valuables. The victim, however, was also armed and pulled out his weapon and shot the suspect in the face. The suspect is in the hospital and in police custody. Now, I wonder if the victim is going to be charged with aggravated assault. Because, it's kind of a theme that's going on here in some of our liberal esque cities in Texas where the victim is being charged. Especially here in Austin, where we had that Fort Hood soldier that was trying to earn some extra cash, doing some Uber, and a swarmed around his car, and so he took out the person that was a threat and drove off, and then called the police. Yeah, that case is actually turning quite interesting, to be honest. I don't know if the DA is going to survive on that one, to be honest. In addition, Additionally, no charges are expected to be brought against the victim as he was defending himself, which is really odd because, I guess Houston is not a liberal hole as Austin is. He's being extremely cooperative. He has no criminal history whatsoever, Wilkins said of the victim. The incident comes after Greg Abbott signed a constitutional carry bill into law this summer, allowing Texans to carry handguns in public without going through training or obtaining permits. You could say that I signed the law today, some law that protects gun rights, Abbott said at the bill signing in June, but today I signed documents that instills freedoms for the Lone Star State. The law went into effect September 1st. You know, maybe the criminals need to be shot in the face to prove a point. I wonder what he was actually packing, to be honest, because it looks like it was probably at short range, but yet the person survived. I don't know. There may be some civil lawsuits coming onto the victim, so hopefully he's well representative. Either way, you get the point. Justice Department sues Texas over new abortion ban. I'm just going to call this Justice Department sues over Texas over the new not allowed to murder your baby ban. I want to be honest as possible. I don't really care if it's legal or not legal, but I want people to be honest when they talk about abortion. They want to say it's a medical procedure. Well, the death penalty is a medical procedure, but yet they want to ban capital punishment and the death penalty, but you can't ban it because it's just a medical procedure, The states have the right to choose if a person's deemed unworthy to be alive. Just think of it as the death penalty as post-birth abortion, and everyone's all good, right? Anyways, He was actually Obama's pick to be a Supreme Court. Um, yeah, politics is just a dirty little game. Yeah, so the Republicans held the Senate, and Obama was going to nominate him, and they chose not to. It's just interesting. The Department of Justice has sued the state over Texas over the new state law that bans killing your baby after 6 weeks before most people realize that they're pregnant. I guess I don't know. I mean, it's maybe killing your fetus after 6 weeks. Either way, you're killing a life. And that's where I wanted the honesty to be. Whether you're for it or against it, I want you to be honest with the terminology. I want you to be honest what the medical procedure of an abortion is. It is killing a life form. But before most people realize that they're pregnant, all but halting the procedure in the country's second largest state. I think we're actually the second largest landmass and by population now. Just some interesting facts. The lawsuit says that the state has enacted the law in open defiance of the Constitution. I mean, there is no law saying that abortion is legal. My understanding of Roe versus Wade, that it was determined by the courts that the doctors get to choose whether or not the abortion could go ahead or not. But there is no law saying that it's legal. I mean, that's the same thing with gay rights. There's no law on the books, and this is kind of my issue with those two rulings. Whether or not I agree with them or disagree with them, it is the fact that a certain political party is abusing the courts, and by doing so, it's taking away the power of Congress and the president, and it's resolving them of any responsibility in certain manners by making certain cases go forward, so they can use that as a political. Well, they take away the responsibility, so they don't get blamed for passing a bill that people don't agree with. It's a very interesting way about it, but yet that they'll defend the decision either way, or not, or I mean either way they'll either go against the decision of the courts or they'll defend it, depending on which position that they take. An act is clearly unconstitutional under long-standing Supreme Court precedents, Attorney General Merrick Garland said during a press conference Tuesday afternoon. These precedents hold, in the words of the Planned Parenthood versus Casey, in regards to whether exceptions are made for a particular circumstance that a state may not prohibit any woman from making the ultimate decision to kill her pregnancy before validity. I mean, it's this is an interesting debate, mainly because we're talking about a life here, a life that has no opportunity to make a decision for itself, is beholden on the mother whether or not to determine if they want to give birth or terminate, i.e., murder the baby. In very rare cases do I see the father having any say into it whatsoever. It's an interesting debate, and whichever side that you're on, I have a feeling that you're going to be wrong. Even my stance is wrong, even though I'm not really taking a hard stance. But I'm being wrong because I'm not making a stance. People that are defending the abortions are wrong because they're killing a life, and those that are going against the abortion are removing the freedom of choice away from someone. So either way, there's a whole lot of wrong, and there is no right answer into this one. But I would rather take a stance of saying, let's be honest about the actual procedure. Garland noted that the law deputized private citizens to serve as bounty hunters authorized to recover at least $10,000 per claim from the individuals who facilitate women's exercise of their constitutional right, which means that they're going after Planned Parenthood and any other organizations that perform a killing an unborn baby, murdering an unborn baby after the 6 weeks. Now I don't really understand the time length, but I don't understand the timeline. If that makes sense, there has to be a compromise, and the compromise has to be Congress has to get together, both on the Senate and the House of Representatives, to sign into law for a president to sign. That's the only way it's going to put this debate to bed, and even then, there's going to be legal challenges. He calls the law a statutory scheme and said it's thus and said it has thus far had its intended effect. Because the statute makes it too risky for an abortion clinic to stay open, abortion providers have ceased providing services. This leaves women in Texas unable to exercise their constitutional right and unable to obtain judicial review at the very moment that they need it. I don't understand where it's a constitutional right to kill a baby. I mean, I'm not making a stance. I mean, I'm not saying that a woman shouldn't get an abortion, but I just wanted to be honest that they're killing a baby. They're killing an unborn baby who could be the next president of the United States that makes it into law to make abortion legal. I don't know, it's just something to think about. Anyways, expert says that the Texas law, among most of the strict in the nation, is part because it allows private citizens to sue anyone perceived to be helping patients obtain an abortion. That does not make the exception for the case for involving unpleasant, against the law acts. Several other GOP-led states have announced that they're considering adopting similar measures. The Justice Department case may be designed to slow some of the momentum. The federal lawsuit follows a heavy pressure from congressional Democrats who have urged Garland to use the full force of the Justice Department. We urge you to take legal actions up into including criminal prosecution of would-be vigilantes in attempt to use the private right of the action established by blatantly unconstitutional law, wrote the House Judiciary Chairman Gerald Nader, Democrat, New York City, aka Penguin Man, and 22 other Democrats. This is the same idiot that said Antifa was just an idea and doesn't exist. Although an idea couldn't storm a courthouse, an idea couldn't throw those flaming cocktails and try to burn down a courthouse. An idea doesn't go around burning cars. That is a group. Yeah, like I'm going to trust anything the Penguin Man says. Last week, the Supreme Court allowed the Texas law to go into effect over dissent from Chief Justice John Robert and Justice Stephen Breyer. Elaine Callaghan and so on as stopped by President Biden calls the court majority opinion an unprecedented assault on the woman's constitutional right under Roe v. Wade, which has been the law of the land for almost 50 years. But is it really law? I mean, legally, there's a legality to it, but is it really law? And no one's really been able to really answer that other than it sets precedents of future court cases which they're going to rely on. But there really is not a law because the law has to come from Congress. Both the Senate and the House must agree to the terms of the law and for the law to be signed by the president, at least on a federal level, and of course on the state level, a similar process through the state Congress or Senate, and governors must sign that. So I don't think there's an actual law, but there's a legality loophole here, which is definitely being abused. So this is kind of like where I'm confused on. I mean, you can't really create laws from the court. You can only deem something as constitutional or unconstitutional, but you can't determine something law. And I think this is where the measurement, or where some of the divide is coming from the pro-life and the pro-murderers of the unborn. Anyways, that's all I have. Leave a comment down below what your thoughts are. Did you listen to Ice Cream Joe Biden speak about the stances he's taking on things we can't talk about here on YouTube. Do you agree with any of his stances or not? Leave a comment down below. I might read it, might not. When I mean read it out on in a video format. Anyway, smash the like and subscribe button. Of course, leave a comment down below what your thoughts of these two stories. But most importantly, have yourself a wonderful day, morning, or evening.